So, the trailer for Chapter 5 of Deltarune has just arrived, and it looks pretty cool. Unsurprisingly, it's full of beautiful flower-related imagery, which is exciting. But, there is something that's a bit strange about all the new promotional material. There seems to be an emphasis on the blue flower specifically, with all the blue roses on the website, the blueness of the logo, the blatant reference to the blue soul from Undertale, and of course Miss Mizzle's little speech about the bluest flower. So, I wanted to talk a bit about why that might be. Well, there's of course the connection to the bluest character in the game, Chris. It's very likely that the blue flower will be a parallel to Chris in some way. It's not just that they're both blue, but their blueness has been repeatedly emphasized. The Chapter 5 trailer made it clearer than ever that the colors of the fun gang are important aspects of the characters instead of just an aesthetic thing. And this seems especially true for Chris. There's already a lot of color symbolism in this game, and character colors are being established as relevant parts of it too. As a side note, I also think it'll be interesting to see how Ralsei and Susie interact with their corresponding flowers, since, well, Ralsei obviously matches with kindness, and in Chapter 4 Gerson talks about how perseverant Susie is. So the soul traits and colors are already relevant outside of just Chris, and are definitely gonna be a huge deal in Chapter 5. Anyway, I think the reason the blue flower is being foreshadowed so much more than the others, is because we're meant to take note of the color symbolism. So there are a few things this could mean for the plot. First of all, I think there's a chance that the blue flower will be the secret boss of this chapter. Other secret bosses had parallels to Chris, so this one would fit in too. It could be another solo Chris fight. To be clear, I'm not suggesting that this patient's knife fight in the trailer is the secret boss, it'll be a separate thing. I think each flower will just be a mini-boss, with the blue one being an extra special one. It can be like Gerson, where it's the secret boss while also being one of the most important characters to the main story of the chapter. There's no real way to know what exactly the blue flower's personality will be like, but it will apparently be elegant and kind, according to Miss Mizzle. So it probably won't be quite as antagonistic as the other flowers. Maybe. To be honest, I'm not extremely committed to this idea, but I do think it's one of the more likely secret boss options and could be pretty cool. Also, the blue flower's connection to Chris is one of the things that leads me to think that Chris will be the fountain creator of Chapter 5. It could be Asgore, but I would prefer it to be Chris. While Chris making the Dark World isn't necessary for the blue flower parallel to work, it would definitely add an extra layer that makes it way better. One of the best parts of Chapter 3 is all the extra characterization and symbolism it gives Chris, since Dark Worlds reflect the will of the creator and all that. That's the whole reason the Irem fight and the Chris backstory hints we get are able to exist. So if Chris makes the Chapter 5 world, there could be more cool stuff like that. And the blue flower would have a much stronger and more direct connection to Chris if it's something that actually came from their will and was shaped by their mind. This is especially true if it ends up being the secret boss. I also kind of believe that Chris is the one who made Card Kingdom, but that's a whole separate thing. Although I will just point out that the Chapter 5 clips have some pretty obvious visual ties to Card Kingdom, which in turn happens to have visual ties to Chris's Chapter 3 Dark World. Anyway, the color blue has also come up a lot in other places, particularly in relation to all the deep esoteric stuff in the game like water, ice, the prophecy, etc. Water is becoming increasingly more tied to darkness and creation with each chapter, and the prophecy is obviously a huge deal in the Dark World since it's the embodiment of everyone's predetermined fate and all that. And the color blue is sort of a through line between all of those things. So I guess it makes sense that the blue flower would have some sort of special knowledge or special properties or something, just based on their connection to everything else. I can't say for certain what exactly this will entail, but it does feel like the color blue is gonna get a much bigger spotlight on it in this chapter via the blue flower. Chapter 5 has been built up as the big one, with the final egg, the final shadow crystal, and the final fun adventure before the sun goes down. So to me it makes sense that all this weird esoteric stuff that's been hinted at in the background will be addressed in the main plot before it fully blossoms in Chapter 6, which I think will be all about that kind of thing. I mean, of course there's a lot of things related to the background stuff other than just the color blue, but I just think the blue flower will be the main way it's explored, mostly because of the color's significance. Speaking of the weird esoteric stuff, there's another very important blue guy, which is of course the mysterious blue Rudin in Castle Town. It seems to be a normal Rudin that turned blue due to its color fading, which I feel this has a lot of implications that I won't get into. But the important parts are, it's probably the 7th flying ace, which is yet another connection to Chris lore in relation to the color blue, and the fact that it seems to have semi-meta knowledge while being the only blue Rudin. So then what does this mean for the blue flower? Well, chances are it probably won't behave exactly like the blue Rudin. But this still sets a precedent for blue guys being a little bit extra weird or special. And this link between Blue and Chris's backstory along with the meta-knowledge just adds to what I've been saying about the blue flower's characteristics. So I guess the main thing is that the blue flower will probably be just a little bit more goner-like than the others, which of course also supports the idea of it being the secret boss. And I think Ralsei will be important in all this too. He's had a lot of parallels to Flowey and connections to flowers in general. And there's also the fact that he looks like a dreamer, and Chapter 5 seems to be a chapter centered around the Dreamer family. Flowers were like, the big thing that both Asgore and Asriel were associated with in Undertale, as well as being a direct representation of Asgore's failed attempts to win back Toriel. So, I think it's safe to say that Ralsei will probably have an important part to play when it comes to this. I like the idea that the 7 flowers will all be like replicas of Ralsei, but even if they're not, at the very least they'll be related to him in some way. And his relationship with Chris is a really important part of his character too. It seems like his similarities to Asriel have more to do with Chris than Asriel himself, as a sort of representation of Chris's wish to be a monster. So when it comes to the blue flower, I think Ralsei's connection to it will be focused on as well as Chris's. I mean, Ralsei is a goat that's strongly tied to both Chris and flowers, so if Chapter 5 has a unique blue flower that parallels Chris, I think Ralsei would have something to say about it. Or the flower will have something to say about Ralsei. And, you know how the main chapter antagonists usually forget about Ralsei? Well, I think the blue flower will make a point of remembering him. It could be the first major Darkner that Ralsei actually has a full-on conversation with, maybe it'll even be one-on-one. Though that may just be wishful thinking. No matter what though, I feel like Ralsei would need that kind of thing for his development, and I think Chapter 5 is the perfect place for it. By the way, this is a more specific and random prediction, but I think it would be cute if the blue flower is a sort of mentor to Ralsei. I don't think it will be focused on nearly as much as Gerson's mentorship of Susie, but just some small things like maybe teaching Ralsei better table etiquette or something like that, so he can use it in his next tea party. After all, the blue flower is supposed to be a specimen of elegance and kindness. There's also the thing with the prophecy being blue like I mentioned earlier, and Ralsei's whole thing is that he's obsessed with the prophecy. Specifically, blue is associated with the unbreakability of the prophecy, and how it might overwhelm someone. So, going with the idea of the flower being Ralsei's mentor, I could see their interactions going two ways. Either it helps him see between the lines like Gerson did for Susie, or it makes him even more prophecy-pilled somehow. Either way, I think the blue flower will provide a turning point for Ralsei's character arc. Maybe this is too big a leap to make just from color symbolism, but these are just things to consider. I just really like the idea of a main character outside of the fun gang not only acknowledging Ralsei, but bringing him into the spotlight as well. After all, forget-me-not flowers are also blue. Anyway, that's about all I have to say. Obligatory reminder that I'm fully prepared to be wrong on everything I said here, but I just wanted to talk about some of the thoughts I've had. No matter what, something will definitely happen with the blue flower, so it's worth talking about, I think. The things that the color blue is associated with are important to keep in mind when it comes to this. This was more of a short ramble than a high-stakes theory, so I guess it doesn't matter too much if it's right or wrong. With the next chapter being closer than ever, it feels like there are about to be many big changes. There's no way to know what will happen next. Though I have a feeling that whatever happens, there will be a lot of new questions and mysteries to solve. But all we can do now is wait. So, I guess I'll see you later. Enjoy playing Chapter 5.